domoro kadiyata
boy janno sikes restaurant
e say nakko be ninna dimbal nimba domoro kala janno
domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kendema bije luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni adi manda wala de te ka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendil lon dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international otoda number 1
amanke ba domo la jandama
e sa domo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa nakko sa futandin
e oto sa nakko be mu sikes restaurant
ndafa na janna mu yat ni manje dorom bija
aban
CK's Restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.
diwli lanni maro lanni
fop lanni
awa joni mi anda honno gerde ten e ngal do sabu e ngal do Ibrahima jonnal taw joni mi anda se yahay kapitiki nyawloden ha humpondire makko est ce qu'on non e warude
waden no awa
ane ko de Ibrahima ma ko to woni
mo Amerique
ko Amerique a woni kede humpitaki fi be musibe men baluwo be andanda kala ko wawda wonde aduna si arrivi e juude mabbe a jonnay do dépassement Gambia har no weebi ayata kadi taw ko mbudi din no jawi walla no jippi be halantama ko kala ko falda ko reise sengo nyamete ili nebba maro basal pomme de terre kala ko rewi don a hendo to har no weebi kadi wona dum don tu be abbe jonnira e mobile phone siko dum kadi laptop kala ko wayrode di ay kasba wa be wawma jonnude kadi sa fala on pitade ko weebi etti Google account ma joni data ton wada download app mabbe on ayay kala ko humpi may mabbe ton be weebi yama
ka wonda woy aduna on
kala ko wawda
a jonnanay wondo kaleji men Gambia do dépense
harano weebi yama si dum no fono nebi immo den joni mi do tama ka place mabbe jan
waden joni
iya heba ko fala
waden kisam
when me touch down better broke down
With Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
so she became mine and see the
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamtel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamtel, Yaibaram.
I get it.
Mbijan aganyani.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Important. Nsila ID soto.
That's sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo katon.
Bari si kodo kino katon nim fo bolon blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia e bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi man domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
barka ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la barka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abarka.
Welcome to this special interview. This morning with me, I have the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperations and Gambians Abroad, Honorable Dr. Mamadou Tangara. Welcome to Kerr for the first time.
Thank you very much.
Well, why have you been hiding from us, though?
No, I'm not hiding. I always tell people that diplomacy does not go with a lot of talking.
Yeah. Because
our work is done behind closed doors. So sometimes it's good to be quiet and listen and follow what is going on. But I've been following the excellent work that you've been doing.
And it's an honor to have you on our platform.
The honor is all mine.
So first, let's look at the Gambia, our standing. You have served as the foreign minister from the former regime and then to ambassador at the UN for so many years. And after the change, I think few months into the change, you become the new foreign affairs minister. What is our standing in the world right now?
Well, the Gambia is a country that is well respected. And I've always been saying that there is no small country. You make your country big or small. Everything depends on the credibility that you have. And I learned that when I went to the UN, because you have big countries, small countries in size. We have what we call the Forum of Small States first, but you have very powerful countries in that forum. So everything depends on the way you conduct yourself, the way you deal with your partners, and the way you assert your independence. And I think that goes a long way in determining your weight in the international community. Because at the General Assembly, we all have one vote. So you have to know how to manage that vote and not to be following blindly others' interests, but first and foremost the interests of your country. And in the UN, we organize ourselves within the African group. And the African group within the UN is a force to be reckoned with, because we know that our individual countries don't have the manpower, the resources to compete with some of these big countries. So we organize ourselves. And I'm happy to say that we've been playing key role as we speak. The coordinator of the 6th committee of the UN on legal matters is our counselor at the permanent mission. And at some point, the 3rd committee also, the vice presidency or the presidency was in the hands of Gambians. And when I was there several times, I was also chair of the African group. And on many occasions, I spoke on behalf of Africa, not Gambia. And when I go there, they don't talk about Tangara, but they talk about Gambia. And I think that has given us a lot of credibility at the level of the UN. And we were able to leverage on that credibility during the impasse. Yeah, because, you know, diplomacy is just like a bank account where you put a lot of savings. Maybe you will not need it in the here and the now, at noon, as the Germans would say, but later on. And during that impasse, we knew the importance of building very strong network in order to be able to resolve, and thank God we were able to resolve our crisis peacefully with the support of the international community.
So I wanted to come to that before we further go on to other issues in the country. During the impasse, I'm sure a lot of your critics, especially when you were appointed to continue, when you were, your contract was, I don't know, you had a contract, but when you were allowed to continue, and also even when you were allowed to serve as you were appointed to serve as foreign affairs, a lot of your critics say, why Tangara? This was the person who was at the UN, they served on the JAME, and today he's foreign affairs minister. But other people will tell you the role you and some other diplomats played at the UN to get Gambia to where we are. What was the role of diplomats, especially your office, to get the UN to pass that resolution to help Gambia to be able to resolve our crisis this way?
For one thing people must understand is that as diplomats, we are loyal to our country, to the state. And you've been in the US, and you know how we operate that office.
Yeah.
And I always made it clear that we are not representing a particular individual, but the Republic of the Gambia.
Yeah.
Whatever serves the interests of the Republic of the Gambia, we'll make sure that we do the right thing. Because it depends also on our credibility. Sometimes when you receive some strange instruction from capital, I used to tell my people, we are capital ourselves, because this is our credibility on the line. Let's do the right thing. And we've been working like that. And during all my stay at the UN, and you can bear me witness, I always tell Gambians that this is not a political office. Especially if you want to become ridiculous in the diplomatic world, go to the UN and try playing politics there. You will become a laughing stock. And I always made it clear that we are representing the Gambia. You are not representing a particular political party. And I've been serving all Gambians. And I remember during those difficult days, some people will come to my office and they will tell me, don't receive them, these people are not with us. Yeah. I say, well, they are with the Republic. This is the office of the Republic of the Gambia.
I want to come in there, and I think it's important that some of these things that we witness. I remember I was in America, and a friend of mine whose family was deeply involved in something with the government, and their kids, they were having it tough to maintain the kids, and they needed Gambian passport. This was something very serious. I don't want to put the case here, but it was something really serious, and they needed Gambian passports. And they came through me because they could not come. And I did send it to you. You told me to send it directly to you. In a day, you helped to secure their passport. This was Jammeh's time. I do remember that, so I just wanted to
the emergency travel document. Yeah. And that's not the only one. Yeah. And to, you know, some people just like to criticize for the sake of criticizing and talking about people even without knowing them. I saw the same people who were telling me, don't receive these people, welcoming the same people they were rejecting those days, hugging them. But I've been constant. For me, a Gambian is a Gambian. I don't care which political party you belong to. When I'm serving in the office, I serve the interests of the Gambia, full stop.
And how was it, how easy was it to work with the international community to help during the impasse? What role, specific role, did you guys play to help put things together for us at the UN?
You know, it was good during that period that as I said, I was several times chair of the African group. At some point, I was even chosen to be the chief negotiator for Africa for the SDGs, but I declined it, but working behind the scene. And that gave me the possibility to interact with many authorities at the level of the UN, from the Secretary General to some very important directors. So these are people who listen to me. And I have also the respect of my colleagues, be it at the African group or other group. So when we face that critical situation, I said to myself, you know, there are critical times in the life of a human being, in the history of a nation, where you have to take the right decision. Either you are on the wrong side of history or on the right side of history. For 1 week, we were the pride of Africa, and we were hailed as heroes at the UN when the former president accepted defeat. And I remember I was attending an award ceremony. Sometimes I just like to go without people noticing me. I was in the crowd with a friend, and the late Babatunde, who was the executive director of UNFPA, took the floor and said that as an African, he was feeling very proud because of the example that the Gambia has shown the world, that we don't have to receive lessons from anyone. Here is a country where the president, after staying in power for more than 22 years, went to election, lost the election, and accepted gracefully to leave. And everybody was clapping. And someone said, the ambassador is here. I stood up and people started clapping for me. But I was proud but worried. Because, you know, I mean, God has given us little intelligence as human beings. You can read between the lines.
Yeah.
What I was seeing written on the wall was not very promising. And when I was alone with Babatunde, I said, well, I'm happy that you mentioned the Gambia, but we have to be very vigilant. Because what I'm seeing coming is, I don't think is very good for us. And I remember the very day that the president was making a U-turn. We have a group of friends at the UN, and we used to meet for breakfast at the residence of the permanent representative of Canada, and everybody was praising us. And I said, be careful, let's not be carried away by the euphoria. Because what I'm seeing coming is not. And I saw some very powerful people telling me, no, 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 everything is under control. Only for us that very night to see the U-turn. And immediately we became the laughing stock of the world.
Yeah. So
that was unacceptable for me. You see, we have to accept the verdict of the people. They say, vox populi, vox Dei. We've accepted, we've organized an election, set the rules of the game, lost it. There is nothing wrong with accepting and starting a new life. And we started even working on that. Because for me, the most important thing is to, as a diplomat, is to resolve crises without conflict, without fighting. The best way to win a war is not to fight the war. Yeah. So we mobilize our colleagues. It's not only me, but several other colleagues in different missions. We say, no, this is something unacceptable. And we cannot continue clinging to privileges and defending something that no one can defend. You know, I've seen countries that have done it and they succeeded.
Yeah.
But for me, I will find myself very uncomfortable, in a very uncomfortable situation, defending something that I do not believe in. So we decided to mobilize, and with the support of the international community, we were part of those who triggered the peaceful resolution of the looming crisis in the Gambia. And we are grateful that today we are all enjoying it, because the mere fact that you can speak without fear, it's a major achievement of this government, and that we have to enjoy and appreciate.
And that really, a lot of Gambians appreciated the role the diplomats played, and they were the first to come out and say, we are not going to support what happened. But now let's talk about the Gambia's foreign policy. What is the Gambia's foreign policy?
Well, the Gambia foreign policy is based on non-alignment, it's on neutrality, and putting emphasis on good neighborliness. You know, geography dictates its law to diplomacy. And enjoying good relations with your neighbors goes a long way in resolving your issues. And we've seen it during the crisis. Gambia alone could not resolve this crisis. But thanks to the support of the neighbors, thanks to the support of the international community, we were able to do it following international rules and regulations. And I think today we can safely say that we are enjoying very excellent relations with all our neighbors. You do not gain anything in conflicts or a tense relationship. Today, when we have crisis between the two countries or some of our neighbors, we just make a phone call and the problem is resolved. And I think that's one of the recipes for development, having peace and stability. And I think we are enjoying that today.
You mentioned neutrality and good neighborliness. Let's start with good neighborliness. Senegal, the Gambia's diplomatic relations with Senegal has not been good for the past years, but with the change of the new government, we have an excellent diplomatic relations with the Republic of Senegal. But a lot of people will say it's more beneficiary to the Senegalese. We have seen our trade deals. Some will say not very beneficiary to Senegal. When you look at the transport union issues, the Senegalese community, the Senegalese benefit more when it comes to number of vehicles coming in. And you look at business deals that Senegalese companies are enjoying here compared to us having those benefits in Senegal. What is in there for us? It's more about Senegal winning more than us. What is in there for us apart from the peace and stability?
You see, Gambia and Senegal is one nation with two states. And we have to also understand the dynamics and our strength. You clearly know that the muscles that the the business community in Senegal, they have, the Gambian business community does not have that. But I know people are committed, especially with the new president of the Chamber of Commerce, Idimas Job. They are working hand in glove with Senegal and trying to see how best we can leverage certain opportunities to our advantage. It's true that you have more presence of Senegalese companies in the Gambia than Gambian companies in Senegal. But how many Gambian companies have the muscle to go and operate in Senegal? We have to ask ourselves that.
That's where the government comes in, to help empower us to penetrate the Senegalese market.
No, not only government, but I think
the avenue.
You see, Gambian business community, I'm not an expert in business, but I think even having pulling their resources together, coming in a sort of conglomerate, will enable them access some very important loan with big financial institutions. Most of them alone cannot access them. So it's important for them to come together. Of course, government has to create the conducive environment for them. But one must ask ourselves also, do we have the resources to give to this business community to operate? You look at what happened during the pandemic in Senegal, if you're following. You see the huge contribution of the business community to fight the pandemic. And we've seen also how government contributed in helping small businesses and others. Do we have that capacity? Sometimes you want to do things, but you cannot give what you don't have. The Latin will say, nemo dat quod non habet. What you don't have, you cannot give it. We have to look at the size of our economy. Do we have the resources? That's the big question. I think economics are in a better position to answer that question.
But why is the Gambia government, especially on their office, not able to fix the transport issue up to now? The Senegalese, I mean, even our national bus service, the GTSC, you look at the agreement. Senegal gets up to 4 to 5 buses, but they don't have a limit of buses that are coming in, and we have a limit. When we share between,
I think they have a limit. During the recently concluded presidential council, we took some major decisions. Unfortunately, with the COVID coming in, we were not able to implement most of them. But I think the Senegalese were in a very good disposition. In fact, even for air transport, they were ready to look at the possibility of transforming it like a local transport. That will have impacted positively on the price of the air tickets.
Honorable Minister, this is where a lot of people are worried. The Senegalese, in all of our sectors, you go to the fishing industry, dominated by the Senegalese. You go to the transport sector, dominated by the Senegalese. Our energy in the hands of the Senegalese. Our security in the hands of economic, mainly Senegalese. Gambia is a sovereign state. We want independence. What is that? Gambians are worried that Gambia is a state inside of Senegal because of all of these things. And what we have seen, in as much as we want to promote good neighborliness and Senegambianism, we also want to make sure we are a little bit careful because we just don't want to give all of these important sectors to these people. At the end of the day, what happens if there becomes a problem? We don't pray for that. And it seems like that is what this government is promoting. Every other sector is in the hands of the Senegalese. Why is the government doing that?
Well, I don't think every other sector is in the hands of Senegalese. The fisheries sector, for example, how many Gambians are ready to venture into fishing?
Well, when the president came, he said, when you tell him, Mr. President, what are you doing for the youth? He said, the sea is here, meaning we can gain a lot of work from that. Why is the government not investing in that sector to buy boats for the young people?
But we've seen here they've bought boats. People sold the boats and traveled outside.
That was not now.
We've seen people taking their boats to Guinea-Bissau trying to sell them. I'm not trying to blame anyone or to criticize anyone, but we have to be realistic and look at our own reality and see whether people are ready to go into those fields. You mentioned economic. Economic came under a specific arrangement. And today, whether we like it or not, our security will impact either positively or negatively on Senegal. So for them, it's also their own security that they are preserving. And we are lucky that Senegal is serving even as a bulwark for us to confront some of these major issues like terrorism and others. On the issue of our relationship with Senegal, I mean, you know, each country has to pursue their interests. And the onus and the responsibility is on government to do that.
Are we doing that?
Yeah, of course we are doing it. And people in their areas, you know, I always, whenever I go to Senegal, I will mention that our diplomacy cannot be based even on classical diplomacy because our destinies are inextricably linked. We have to work hand in glove. It's not a diplomacy where I try to fool each other. And those times are gone. Today, even in your own house, you cannot control all what is going on there. But it's our responsibility, if you occupy any position, to make sure that you serve the interests of the Gambia first and foremost. I think that's very important. And during the recently concluded presidential council, we took some major decisions where I've never seen Gambia and Senegal. I've been involved in many negotiations where we discuss things frankly and trying to find concrete solutions. You see, before the recently concluded presidential council, I participated in a joint commission where then the issue of the co-ownership of the Senegambia bridge was brought to the agenda. And I told my colleague, I said, this is a non-starter. I'm not even going to discuss it. If you want us to find a solution, just remove this from the agenda because we're not going to discuss the issue of co-ownership. Because I cannot understand a bridge inside Gambia being co-owned. Unfortunately, we went to report to the then President Wad. He said, the minister reported, said everything went well. Unfortunately, your son blocked our work. Because what used to say that I'm like his son. He liked me a lot. At some point, he even asked several times former president, that he would want me to go and work with him in Senegal.
Wow.
And that was, even well before I was minister, we participated in a colloquium, and he saw me, he called me, he said, "Are you Gambian?" I said, "So I want you to stay and work with me." And one of his advisors followed me after. I said, "The man is serious." I said, "No, I'm going back to France. I'm doing my PhD." So when we went there, they said to him that our main bone of contention was the issue of the co-ownership of the bridge. And he said to them, you see, he said, "Now I'm going to speak, not like the president of the Republic of Senegal, but as the legal minded person, Ablai what?" He said, "I totally agree with him." He said, "You cannot go inside a country and say you are going to co-own the bridge. If it was between two countries, I can understand that." I said, "I don't know where you're taking this argument from." He said, "I'm also a lawyer. I know what, and I understand international law." He said, "He's right. This is a non-starter. If you want to resolve this, remove the co-ownership of the bridge." So you see, these are frank discussion where it's done behind closed doors, and people don't understand the dynamics. And every country you go, whenever you negotiate, everybody will try to get the best out of that negotiation. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we get something that is beneficial for our country. And that's why we need to train our people in negotiation skills.
Yeah.
It's very important. And that I know because at the UN, for example, we've seen how we negotiate with big countries. And knowing that as well, they are not small countries, maybe it's inside, African countries cannot individually negotiate with these countries. So we come as a group. And during the negotiation, for example, let's just take the permanent mission of the Gambia. You have like 6 committees at the UN where countries will bring an expert for each committee. We have like 3 experts. One will follow 2 or 3 committees. How can you be part of all the negotiations? So it's important for us to train our people and be able to negotiate properly, because whatever we are doing, if we want to leave a lasting legacy for posterity, it has to be based on truth. It's in the interest of Gambia, it's in the interest of Senegal. And I know today our 2 presidents are committed to making sure that whatever they do will serve posterity. And that can only be done not by trying to promote our selfish interests, but trying to do what is beneficial for our 2 countries. Because as I said, our destinies are linked.
Yeah. I know you are few of the most seasoned diplomats in this country. You have served in so many capacities, and you have seen diplomacy at any level. But when it comes to security, you just talked about negotiations here, and sometimes, you know, when you are negotiating at a disadvantage, it also affects the outcome of negotiations. Recently, the government asked for an extension at the ECOWAS summit of the economic in the country. Is it because the government failed to properly implement the reforms, the security sector reform? That is why we are extending the mandate of the economy. Because why would we extend? We have an army here. The army is changing gradually. But what has government put in enough commitment to make sure the security service reform is implemented? Because at the end of the day, you cannot have your security in the hands of people for so many years. It's not safe.
Fatou, you see, security, I'm not an expert.
You're a diplomat.
But I can tell you one thing. This is a very sensitive area.
Yeah.
And sometimes today in this new Gambia, we tend to be experts in everything. But these are very sensitive issues. And you know the composition of our army.
Yeah.
And you cannot just lay off soldiers like that.
No.
Then you are creating a group of potential criminals. Because these are people who are trained to use weapons. If you want to let them go, you have to find something for them. And that you cannot do it overnight. And I think experts from the UN are here, from African Union are here, who have more expertise than all of us, more knowledge than all of us. And ECOWAS, they are working towards having a smooth but very effective security sector reform. And that's why the UN is closely monitoring the situation. Because the Secretary General of the UN made it clear he wants Gambia to be a success story in his agenda of sustaining peace. It's not that we lack confidence in our security forces. We have very capable officers. But you all know also that we have some who, for some reason, what you find here in the Gambia, you discuss it in some quarters, they just laugh at us. Because I know the military is just like academia. There are certain stages that you have to go through in order to obtain certain ranks. But that was not the situation. You know it, others know it. But the fact that ECOMIG is here is making people deal. But I know ECOMIG is working hand in glove with our own military apparatus. They have advisors with them, and they're working fine with them. And I think when the time is right, we don't have any reason why we will keep them. And people are also always complaining about ECOMIG being present. But Gambians are present in many fields around the world. And our soldiers are even longing to go to these operations. So what's wrong? Well, we are fortunate that we don't have a situation of crisis where there is fighting. It's just that we are trying to reform the security sector. And we've seen that with the ongoing reform, some left on their own. I don't have the details, but I know several soldiers left. And if you want to have a respectable army, as I say, it's like academia. There are certain criteria that you have to fulfill. Are many of our officers fulfilling those criteria? That's a big question mark.
I think people are worried about the pace of the security sector reforms, but...
Yeah, because it's sensitive.
It's sensitive.
It's sensitive. And we know the composition of the army, and we know that if you remove them from the army, you have to find something for them.
Okay, so now let's talk about, still on neighborliness, let's talk about Mali. What is Gambia's position on the current situation in Mali?
The president and all his colleagues made it clear that we want a civilian-led transition in the shortest possible time.
So,
because today what we've seen in Mali, you see, those who staged the, well, they say it's not a coup d'etat. It's the result of a popular movement that led them to invite the president to resign, but we all know the reality. But these are operational commanders, very knowledgeable, seasoned soldiers who are better in a position where they will safeguard the security of Mali. Because you see, we are all concerned about what is happening in Mali. If Mali is destabilized today, if the terrorists are able to use Mali as a sanctuary, they will destabilize the whole sub-region. And I spoke to a very seasoned politician who also was a fighter, a freedom fighter, well, a fighter anyway. And he told me that without the intervention of external forces, the kind of weapons that the jihadists have, in one day they can take Bamako, take over Bamako.
But what would you say to the notion that African leaders play a part in this? Because at the end of the day, this crisis has been going on for some time now. And, you know, we always say African leaders always come out to put their positions out when these things happen. But what happened when they went to meet the former president? They could have just told him to resign or just accept the demands of the people. But why would you let it drag until this position? We are seeing the same situation in Ivory Coast where the president said he was not going to run for that term. Now he's doing it. We have seen what is happening in, Guinea, also where the president changed the constitution to rerun again. All of these things are happening, and the African president, the African leaders are not putting out a strong sign right now. They only come out and put out all these resolutions when the army takes over. In as much as we don't want the military to take over, why don't we put the leaders to task as well? Buhari told the meeting, at the ECOWAS meeting, there is a position of so many people as well. Why is the Gambian not making that position known, and not wait until all the things happen and then come out and say this?
You see, I will not comment on the situation in Guinea or Ivory Coast. That's their internal affairs. And
but it becomes an African position when something happens. So this is what you guys always say. When things happen, you say we will not comment on it. But when it becomes a crisis, you're going to have to comment on it.
You have to respect the sovereignty of countries. And then you have what they have, the early warnings. And there are people who are working on that, discussing. I told you, diplomacy is not done in public domain. They discuss between closed doors, and the intricacies, I will not go into the details. But the situation is in Mali. It's true that it's the result of a popular movement. And I agree it could have been resolved. Because some of the decisions that were taken after, when they say he resigned, could have been taken before. But what people didn't want to happen, this is a man who was elected by the people. And you cannot just come and remove him like that. But if he has decided to, they say he has resigned, he has decided to leave, that's another question. But what we do not want to happen is to make one step forward and two steps backwards. Because you've seen now it's only in West Africa that you have these issues of coup d'etats. So it's important. And if you overthrow a government with the barrels of the gun, of course you will be suspended from all the organizations. And I think that's not in the best interest of any country, especially Mali, a country that is landlocked. And I think today they are having discussions, and they've given them time, and I think wisdom will prevail.
Are you confident?
And the right is, I mean, they are proud people. I know Malians are very proud, but I know they will be able to put the interests of their country first. Because, as I said, the operational commanders who used to fight these jihadists, if now they decide to stay in the offices, I mean, you know what will come. And I know some very powerful countries that are helping them fighting the jihadists are also threatening to withdraw. And that's not in the interest of Mali. It's not in the interest of any country in the sub-region, because whatever affects Mali directly affects all of us indirectly, whether we like it or not.
Now let's come back to the country. Obviously COVID-19, when it hit, the entire world is affected, and Gambia is no exception. And we have a lot of Gambians across the world. And when this happened, your ministry, through the Public Relations Office, did issue a statement saying the support that you were going to render to Gambian students in international, in all the international areas. What is the status of that? Because what we have received is that a lot of these Gambian students are saying they have not had access to these funds. Where is the money?
Well, big question. I know the first time when we had the outbreak of COVID-19 in Wuhan, the ministry, in consultation with the Office of the President, took it upon itself to use a grant that we received. We used that money to give it to our students in Wuhan. That was from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Later on, at the level of the COVID task force led by Her Excellency the Vice President, they requested that we furnish them with the list of students, either on scholarship or private, sponsoring themselves privately, so that government can do something about it. And we did that, but the monetary aspect is being handled by the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. We've also received complaint that some students have not received. I do not have the comprehensive report on this, so I cannot comment on it. But I do know that in places like India, the students receive their money. And some were even asking the embassy whether some of the money can remain here in the Gambia to help support their parents. You see how generous our people are. They are struggling, but yet still they are thinking about their families. But the embassy also cannot do that or transfer the money because we are not a Western Union. I don't want to make publicity for Western Union, but we are not there to transfer any money. But I do receive complaint that some have not received their money. I think we'll
What
engage.
is the ministry doing about that? Because a lot of the students are saying, in fact, when we put this interview out that we were going to talk to you, a lot of the questions was relating to that. People not able to receive their money and they have no idea who to contact. And these are Gambians under your purview, Gambians in abroad.
Well, as a member of the COVID task force, I will engage during our subsequent meeting. I will raise the issue. And I think Ministry of Higher Education is not part of it. We'll engage them to have a comprehensive report on this matter.
And now let's talk about, obviously recently, your ministry have been trending on a lot of our media platforms about some Gambians who were stranded in Lebanon. We do know that over 300 Gambians are in Lebanon, most of them who went on their own to either do business or work privately on their own. But when COVID happened, about 36 or 40 of them wanted to return, and they did contact your ministry. What has the ministry done since this happened? What was the role that you played in helping to get those Gambians back home?
Thank you, Fatou. I think we were being criticized, people said all kinds of things. But I can assure you that from the very day that we knew about their situation, we were doing everything possible to get them back in. What interest do we have in allowing our citizens to suffer in a foreign land? But there are rules and regulations, there are procedures when you deal with a sovereign country. You see, everything started when I remember my communication officer came to me saying that he got a phone call from he was very happy and enthusiastic, saying that I got a phone call from this lady in Sweden who is ready to help. She's an activist, she has written 2 books. Really, we should be proud of Gambians who are doing such kind of things.
Yeah.
I told him, well, and she wanted to know more. But in between, I called him, I wanted him to come for her. He said that why he could not continue the conversation. I just told him, you know, our work is done behind closed doors. I will repeat that all the time. You know that we are doing something. And as a government, we cannot go out and say we are doing X, Y, and Z. And based on the principle of equity, government cannot pay for these girls to come. But fortunately, we have a very generous Gambian who came here saying that I'm ready to pay for these people. But it was not only a matter of paying, because these are people, girls who have violated the laws of a sovereign country. And by then, our honorary consul, by the way, he is not being paid a dime. He's a Lebanese Gambian, born here, was doing everything possible to secure the exit permit. And when he came to me that day, the man has already secured 20 exit permits, and he was working on the rest. But later on, to our surprise, the phone conversation was put on social media, but he was not informed that he was. But I told him, I said, don't be surprised. I will be very much surprised if you are not being recorded. He said, no, I know she's ready to her. I said, well, that's good. But I will not be surprised to see it being published. Unfortunately, that's what happened. And there was news all over the place, the lady saying that we are working against her. We were not working with or against her. For me, the most important thing was to bring back our sisters to the country. And in doing so, we did not need to make too much noise. And I know the tremendous work and sacrifice the honorary consul was doing. And during that period also, unfortunately, we saw some hate messages being sent. You see, Gambia, we are known for our tolerance, religious tolerance. People, we don't have tribal issues here. I grew up with people of Lebanese descent. But for me, they are Gambians like any other Gambian. In fact, I came to realize that I'm even a black man when I travel out of this country. I never knew I was a black man. For me, we are all human beings, one big human family. So listening to those kind of messages saying that we are going to attack the business of Lebanese, we are going to do, that's very un-Gambian. We are not known for that. And I know during that period, even among that community, the Lebanese Gambian, there were efforts being put in place to help these girls to come back. We've seen also a company that also offered to bring them back. So, I mean, it was a problem of miscommunication.
Why were you able to work with this particular lady, Miss Jallo, who was did offer to pay when you were open to working with other people to help bring these girls back? Why was it not possible to coordinate with her and work with her to get the girls back?
I think her first move was completely wrong, as far as I'm concerned. And if she has done the right move, we could have even pulled our resources together. You have this gentleman, Gambian, who is ready to pay for all of them. She is there, ready to help. You work closely, you coordinate it. She could even help them when they come back, or she paid half and they pay half. But I've never seen in the world someone saying, I'm the one paying, or if not, you are not going. And I think somehow the girls were polluted, and they started attacking. You've seen demonstration, other countries, girls demonstrating, but they never went to the extent of destroying things that belongs to God. And this is a private property, by the way. They went destroying things, threatening the gentleman. And this is an operation that you cannot do without government, because only government can negotiate for the exit permit, one. And the emergency travel document, when you travel with it, you come straight to your country. And we engage them, and he continued to support them. And unknowing to the girls, we also wrote to the Senegalese authorities so that they could be accepted. And when they came also in Dakar, I heard that they were saying that we sent a bus. A bus was not sent. We always had a plan B. In the event that they were having problems, someone was ready to hire a bus to bring them, but no bus was there. And among them, I think 4 of them came on their own. They could not ride the bus that went to pick the other girl. But the embassy arranged for them to come back home. So I don't know where all this negative press is coming from, saying that if I don't do this, I will do this. We have the videos threatening even to stop people. If you want to help, you don't help by destroying. I don't believe in that.
What move did the ministry do to engage her, even though at least she's a Gambian and she's helping your ministry?
No, she's not helping. I personally told the communication officer not to communicate with her anymore, because you cannot threaten government. And later on, I even saw where she's talking about government capitulating. I mean, it's just one person wrestling. Sometimes you think that you are defeated. Sometimes you think that you've won. It was a very dramatic situation. I was watching it. At some point, I even felt sorry for her, because wasting all that energy for what?
She's passionate, she's passionate about the welfare of the girls.
Well, we are all passionate about it. But, you know, there are things that you have to do, and you have to do it the right way. And you can do that only when you are level-headed. We cannot force Lebanon to give their exit permit. We cannot. And we do not know how this girl went there. The kafala system, the little I know about it is when I was listening to this documentary on Al Jazeera, but I don't even know much about it. And later on, the permanent secretary was instructed to contact the Lebanese consulate here to know how this girl went. But I understand that some of them even went without the knowledge of the consulate. But the good thing is that government has decided to set up a multi-sectoral task force to investigate it. And for us, what is more important also is the security and the safety of the remaining more than 300 Gambians in Lebanon.
Yeah.
It's not because a few are making a lot of noise, But even for that, sometimes they will threaten the man. And I have audios where they threaten him. Sometimes the same people will apologize to her. But I understand their frustration. They want to come. But I repeat, government was not going to pay for it based on the principle of equity. Because if we pay for them, we'll pay for others who are stranded in Libya. We don't have the resources. We all know that. But a generous Gambian who did not even want his name to be mentioned came here and said, I'm ready to pay. We say, once we secure all the exit permit, we will give you the name and you can even buy the ticket. We don't even want to handle the money.
Was it because government was scared of defeat in this case, that if a private person like Ms. Jallo paid for the ticket, we are going to be seen as not doing anything? That's why you didn't cooperate with her?
No, it's not a defeat, because I told you, even before Ms. Jallo, the gentleman came here ready to pay. But you have to secure first the exit permit. For me, he said, you know what will be the defeat? It was not to be able to bring the girls here.
Back.
For me, the major victory is to bring them here. Either it's Ms. Jallo, the gentleman, or a private company, or the Lebanese. That's not important for me. For me, it's for the girls to come. And for that, you have to be tactful. And when they destroy the property of the honorary consul, he could have make it a police case. But he said to me, if I do it, I will be the same one going to negotiate for them. And I have audios where they call him their dad and they want him to be at the airport so that he can go. And I seize this opportunity to sincerely thank him for all the efforts. Because he's doing it, we are not paying him a dime, I'm repeating it. And I reiterate also my trust and full confidence in my communication officer. He was very naive, thinking that he was, but I think that will teach him also a
lesson. Yes.
Yes. But I'm so, he was so happy to be talking to this girl, coming and telling me about the books and everything, only for him to see him become very popular on Facebook. And some people are saying, yeah, we are blocking them, we are saying that, so he's saying that we've been selling ourselves. You've never heard him say anything. So where are they getting all these stories? So I think as Gambians we have to sometimes, not sometimes, we have to be positive. And I will repeat, you cannot build anything by destroying. Only in philosophy maybe you can do that, because the disciple will destroy the philosophy of the master and come up with his own philosophy. But these are concrete things in life. And we have no interest in allowing our girls to be stranded, or anybody. And in other countries, embassies are negotiating to bring out our people who have violated laws of these countries. In Sudan, you cannot live without paying an exit permit.
I saw letters circulating where it says these girls have rejected help from the ministry. And then it was also said that you guys forced these girls into signing those. What was that?
No, what happened? When they went to the honorary council, he informed them that this is the efforts in place, and you have this. They say they don't want the help
from government.
Yeah, but you cannot come without the help of government. I told them, well, that's good. You cannot force someone to help him by the man will make savings and help other people.
Yeah.
But what we can do is to help them secure the exit permit, and that only government can do that. The emergency travel document also, only government can issue that. And without us contacting the Senegalese authorities, without the honorary consul being at the airport, they could not even board the flight, because these are emergency travel document, and you don't have a direct flight to the Gambia. So saying that you are rejecting the offer of the government, you don't know what you are talking about. The money was not coming from government, I reiterated. It's a generous business person who came and who wanted to help. Yeah. So they say they don't want any help from government. They accepted, well and good. For us, the most important thing is to see them safe and sound in the Gambia.
And their bags
are safe and sound. And as I mentioned, a multi-sectoral task force is being put in place to investigate the issue, because we don't want this to be repeating itself. And I think they have also the responsibility to talk to their peers.
To be an advocate.
To be an advocate, you know. Because for many years we've been hearing these kind of stories, but still people are going. It's just like people who are using the bagway to go to Europe. Every day you are seeing people dying, but yet still people are going.
Is it because we don't have the conducive environment for young people here? Jobs, we don't have jobs and available
it's
for...
It's not only Gambia.
It's
my
across,
sister Fatou. It's
I know.
all over Africa.
But what is Gambia doing?
And migration is part of human history.
Yeah. But what is African leaders doing to mitigate? We cannot stop it. It's a human phenomenon.
You can do whatever you want,
yeah.
but people will continue dreaming. And what is making them move is the mirage of the other side of the world, thinking that you have greener pastures there. But you've traveled. You know what people encounter there. But that you cannot explain to people who have never gone beyond the shores of the Gambia. They will even be mad at you saying you're coming back. But we know the reality on the ground. And you cannot stop people from dreaming. As long as we are dreaming, we'll continue to go. No one can stop that.
So the girls, the Lebanon girls situation, is it posing more challenges to your ministry now? Because if another group of Gambians somewhere can also be stranded and want to come back home, this can be something that, this can be a challenge that your ministry will face. Are you prepared to handle this?
For us, it's not a big challenge. We do what we can do. And as I said, we don't have the resources to pay for people to come back. We don't. But we are lucky that we have very good Gambians, very good people in this country who said we can foot the bill and we work with you. All what we can do is to negotiate with those countries. For example, you take the example of UAE. Today, if you have all the money you have, your planes and everything, you cannot live there. You go, you cannot take them. Gambians here, we are deporting people. Are we not deporting people?
Yes.
No one can stop us from doing it. When you violate our laws, we deport you. But we do not have the exit permit. But those countries, they have the exit permit. Every day you overstay, you are liable to a fine or a mandatory jail term. So what we can do is to sensitize our people not to put themselves in those kind of situations. And I think these girls have a big responsibility in doing that.
Is the government willing to work with them to help resettle them and also help to...
Native was doing a great job. I think in the past they went there, convinced some of them to come back, and the majority refused to come. And some of the girls who are here today are part of that group. And then I remember the then president sent a plane to bring some of them. But when it was time to leave, some of them refused to come. So who do you blame for that? And sometimes when you come back, because of the stigma associated with it, you will not tell people the reality, making them believe that the roads are paved with gold, you can have this, X, Y, and sometimes you have trusted people who will convince them to go, who are not telling them the reality.
So now let's talk about the OIC. 2021 is here.
2022.
It's 2022, but 2021 is here. What is in place? Are you confident that Gambia will host the 2022 summit?
Well, we are doing our best. We are doing our best. You know, when we felt that we were not ready, we went on several missions and talked to key countries about our inability to host it then. And during the summit, it was accepted that we can postpone it and organize it at a later date. To host OIC, we need support from many countries, OIC countries. But today, we all know what is happening in the world. We are receiving a lot of support. But are we going to receive all the support to enable us organize it in 2022? That's the big question.
That's the big question.
Because, I mean, you have to be realistic. We know the reality of the world. It's not on the agenda. Up to now, we are talking about 2022. We've not organized any OIC meeting because of the situation. The next ministerial meeting will be held in Niger. I think there we'll know where we are going.
But infrastructure-wise, nothing has changed from the last time the government changed the date. What has been going on? Apart from the conference center, nothing else is moving. we have been updated as to the contracts have been awarded and all this, but there's no tangible landmark development going on when it comes to the OIC.
See, my sister,
and the funds are coming in.
When you don't,
you have a lot of money.
Yeah, when the funds are coming.
Yeah.
But when the funds are coming, they come with conditionalities. People want to know where you are using their funds. They don't give you the funds and you use it the way. If the funds were our own resources, we would just wake up, choose our companies and build. But here you have to follow their procedures. And sometimes, you know, the challenge when you have several donors coming in, each one with their procedures, it can become very cumbersome and tedious. But we are on track, we are receiving support, and the tender are floated, and then we follow due process, because wherever you use their money, you have to account for it. And that's the disadvantage of being, I don't want to say poor country, but that's the reality. When you don't when you don't have the resources,
yeah.
When you don't have the means of your policy, you practice the policy of your means. You have to rely on others to help you, and you have to sometimes accept their procedures. Gambia is not an oil-rich country. We are not a gas-rich country as of now. Maybe one day. But when you have the resources, you can do things on your own easily. We've been to many summits. You see the amount of time, resources that is needed to organize such events. And you know the challenge ahead.
So you spoke about neutrality at the beginning, Gambia's policy, good neighborliness and neutrality. So I just want to bring that aspect back. Through the OIC, I mean, even Gambia as a country during the Jawara time, I think it was the African Center for Human Rights, and the Gambia championed that, even Jammeh's time as well. But what we have seen in this government is the Gambia, you know, championing the fight for Muslims in Myanmar, and it was a very successful battle, and Gambia was applauded for that. And the former Minister of Justice was really decorated for that by so many international organizations. Gambia has been known for that, to champion the cause of the poor and the less privileged. But what we have seen is Gambia not taking any position in helping the Muslims in China. Is it because, I mean, why is the neutrality here that you said? Is it that Gambia is looking at its foreign policy interests? Because China is Gambians' biggest donor. Is that the case?
Well, I know Gambians have made their mark in international justice, in the international justice field.
Yeah.
The prosecutor of the ICC is Gambian. We had our Chief Justice, who was a prosecutor for the tribunal in Rwanda.
Yeah.
And you have several Gambians in this arena. The issue of the Rohingyas, it's an OIC-led initiative. And our former Justice Minister was very much passionate about the issue coming from that world of international justice arena. And I think, and for some reason, I don't know, maybe we have something with these Rohingyas, because, you know, the Gambian troops in Burma were stationed at where they are being persecuted. Now, on the other issue that you mentioned, you know, we've championed one cause. If the OIC felt that there is a need to champion another cause, another country can take it. We are not Don Quixote de la Mancha. That's the Spanish knight who said that, me voy a limpiar la tierra de todas las malas cosas. In Spanish, he said that he's going to wipe out evil from the earth. For us, this is the domestic issues. And the day that it comes to the forefront, Gambia will take its position. But for now, we are receiving many contradictory reports. And as far as I know, I've attended OIC meetings. I've not even heard them mentioning it. So why would we, Gambia, small Gambia, go and start mentioning things? The Rohingya was on the table, we mentioned it. But apart from that, I am not aware of any other issue that has been brought to the table.
Is it because of our interest with China?
No, it's not our interest with China. You know, I said to you, this is an OIC-led initiative. At the level of the OIC, the Rohingya issues was brought in, but I've never heard this issue that you are mentioning.
At the OIC level?
No.
Okay. So you went to, I know my Sehu is telling me I have 5 minutes, but yeah, but you know, this is the first time, and I'm sure he's not going to speak for the next 2 years, so I think I just want to take the opportunity. Honorable Minister, you went to Equatorial Guinea, I think it was in 2018, when you just took over as the foreign minister. This is where we have the former president residing, the former president Yahya Jammeh. What was the purpose of your visit? There were so many speculations as to you went to meet the former president. What was the purpose of that visit?
You see, today people are so powerful that you can dream, and in the morning another person will explain your dream.
Well, if you don't tell us, in the family, then Jai says, if you don't tell us, rumor mill thrives, right? That's his favorite code. Yeah.
Sometimes I enjoy the speculation and the rumors,
yes.
Knowing that I know the facts.
What are the facts?
We went to Equatorial. I went as special envoy, and what I discussed there, I will not disclose here. I can tell you frankly. But one thing that is certain. We never discussed the issue of the return of the president. That was being speculated. That's not true. We did not meet with the president. That's not true. We've not seen him. And we discussed issues that are related to our bilateral relations. And seek and sought the cooperation of Equatorial Guinea on certain matters. And I want to make this also known to the public. You see, people think that there was a special bond between the president of Equatorial Guinea and the former president. That's not true. I was the foreign minister. I know very much who his friends were and those he was not pulling with. The president of Equatorial Guinea intervened and decided to have him in Equatorial Guinea only in the name of solidarity, African solidarity. But he has no vested interest in the Gambia, I can tell you that. He wanted to save the situation. We wanted to find a safe place for him, and he offered Equatorial.
But why was it important for the Gambia government to strengthen that relationship, Gambia, Equatorial Guinea? Because I'm not sure if we had a very strong ties with them before. Why was the Gambia government interested in strengthening that ties?
You know, when we had the first AU meeting at Malabo, we started developing interest to cooperate, to have more friends, and Equatorial Guinea is part and parcel of Africa. We wanted to work closely with them. At the UN, I personally had excellent rapport with the PR of Equatorial Guinea. And well before the change of regime, the one who is now foreign minister is very close to Gambia and loves Gambia. He was here for a meeting. He stayed here for the New Year's. And when our ambassador in Addis was leaving, the send-off party was organized by him.
Okay.
That's, you know, when we find ourselves in the international arena, in multilateral organization, Africans, we show solidarity to each other, and we act like one big family. But to make it clear, Equatorial Guinea, the president intervened only to save a situation, not because of any special ties or any special interest. Later on, I even saw that he was saying that he was interested in investing here. We've never discussed that. For him, and he made it clear, he said he called the then president, told him, if you fight this battle, you're going to lose it and they will destroy your country. Even if you win it, they will destroy your country. So in the best interest of your country, in the best interest of the security of your country, and in order to preserve your legacy, I'm offering you to come and stay here. And that's how he left, not because of any special ties.
The Gambia government, do you have any direct contact with the former president? I mean, he's a Gambian.
Of course.
He's a Gambian.
Yeah, we don't have any contact, as far as I know.
We don't?
Yeah, as far as I know.
And finally, this the diplomatic passport scandal. That was bad. Gambia is well respected in the international community. Even the former president, he was very mindful when it comes to our diplomatic passport, compared to how the number of passports that were issued during his time and what has been issued in the short period of this new government is not even, you cannot even compare it. When this happened, government set up a task force and investigations. 14 people were indicted by that investigation, but only 4 are going to court. What is happening? Where are all the big fish? Is it government is just picking the people that nobody cares about and taking them to court? What is happening with the rest of the people?
You know, when a matter is in court, you are not allowed to talk about it.
That is what you always say when you guys don't want to discuss about issues.
But that's the reality.
That's the reality, but we are not talking about the substantive of
the court.
No, we are not talking about the details.
Because that's what they call sub-judice.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the details of the case. But what about the standing, what this has caused in the international community?
I think we have to go to the bottom of things, because we've been engaged by diplomats, by the international community, and they want to see the outcome. And I think they will judge us based on the outcome. So let's wait and see. Not later than, I think last week, we received a letter from a lawyer saying that some Germans were issued passport, and they're even claiming they want their passport back. But you have a passport in a fraudulent way, and you have the audacity, the guts to come and say that you want that passport back. So I think it's in our best interest to make sure that justice is done, that the truth prevails. I think it's in our best interest.
But what about the rest of the people? The other 10 that are not taken to court?
The court will decide.
No, only 4 are going to court. What about the rest? 14 people were indicted.
Well, I don't even know. Because you know 14 people.
This
ministry,
the ministry, this is your ministry.
No,
and
I've not even seen the report from the police, so I don't know how many people are going. So you have more information than me. But what I'm interested in, seriously, as far as I'm concerned, is to make sure that we go to the bottom of things. I personally have an interest in that, because some people displayed letters saying that I appointed them as ambassador at large, and I've never seen them in my life. And they were given passports.
But there are so many passports out there that you guys don't know about. Is the government thinking about revoking some of those passports?
Of course, they have been revoked, and Interpol is seized with the matter. So if any of them travel with those passports, they will be arrested.
But what is the government doing now to change the policy? Because at the end of the day, what I have said is somebody somewhere, obviously we had people at the ministry here, and there were some people even at the office of the president who were collaborating. So now that people who were in the system were collaborating, because nobody was able to get these passports without the collaboration from the ministry, immigration, or, you know. So what is government doing to improve upon the systems that we have in place?
You seem to know more than me about this issue.
Because I follow it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those who are collaborating, office of the president here.
Because what I know is, the approval comes from the office of the president, right?
Yes.
Yes. So if someone is issued a passport...
But now they've improved on that, and they've put in place watchdogs. It's very difficult now to get it.
It's difficult?
Yeah.
What are the criteria for somebody to be a diplomat, like to be issued a diplomatic passport?
You know, there are set criteria that you can see when my peers can give you those criteria, but the president also has the discretion to give a diplomatic passport to anyone.
Dr. Tangara, thank you very much. What's your final message to Gambians?
Well, thank you, Fatou, for coming. My final message is
Before I go, though, I want to congratulate you on your award. I know, like I said, I've mentioned it before, but a lot of us here back home might not know your standing in the international community. You were awarded by the UN, I think, and it was a prestigious award. Tell us a little about that award before we go.
Well, I think for that award, I share the glory with my colleagues, with the Gambian people, but the merit is mainly for my colleagues, because we all work together. And I've been fortunate. I think we were like 6 candidates from India, from Latin America, and I was chosen. But for me, in doing my work, I want to do it and have a clear conscience, go to bed. Whatever I think is right, I will defend that cause. And being a diplomat at the UN, it's not only about Gambia, because we also we were working on some very important resolutions.
Yeah.
And our stand, and it's not only me, it's the mission. We work as a team.
The Gambian mission.
Yeah. I think that's one of our stand in defending some of the just causes is the reason why we were awarded this prestigious, I think it's the UN most prestigious award. But there is a panel that will make investigation and look at all what you've done. And I'm grateful. The beautiful thing is that I was able, out of the money I got, I bought over 100 bicycles that I distributed for needy children, for schools, quietly. And there is a reason for that, because I studied hard in school just because I wanted to get a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
My father told me, if you are forced, I will buy a bicycle.
A bicycle.
Yeah. And up to today, I cannot ride a bicycle.
Oh, wow. Were you able to get the bicycle?
But at least I was able to get over 100 bicycles for kids.
Kids.
Yeah. So I'm really happy, and I'm grateful to both of my parents, especially my mom. You know it as a woman in our society. When you succeed, it is a success of your mom.
Yeah.
But when you fail also, it's your mom's failure. So the award I dedicated to my parents, mainly to my mom. Yeah. I don't want to talk much about it, because when I talk about my mom,
I want to come there a little bit.
I become emotional.
Because that's the part we don't know about. Your family ties, your family background, that's the part we don't know.
Well, my mom is from Nyomi Bakalar.
You're Nyominka? I never knew.
No, I'm a half caste. Nyominka Bamara. Bamana. Others call us Bambara, but we are Bamana. Those who refuse to be dominated.
Bamana.
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 First time.
And my father is from Mali. He came to Gambia well before independence.
Okay. Wow. That's nice. And congratulations once again, and thank you very much.
So for my message for Gambians, I think it's important that we come together as Gambians and seize this opportunity to leapfrog. You see, never in the history of the Gambia we've been in the limelight in this way, where, as I said during my interview, the UN Secretary General himself said that he wants to make Gambia a success story. Because Gambians have proven to the world their maturity during the impasse by resolving a very complicated situation in a very peaceful manner. So I think we Gambians have to be commended for the mature way they deal with issues. And I think we should continue that. And the newfound Democrats, of course people will talk, will say, but that's also positive. The most important thing is for us to learn and listen to people and try to separate the wheat from the chaff. This is an opportunity for all those who are in a leadership position to plant seeds of lights, to illuminate our journey through this period and for posterity, and inspire those who are coming after us. We will all go, and Gambia will remain. Gambia belongs to all of us. Yeah. And the most important thing that we can leave behind is our legacy. You see the griots when they chant in the shadows and others, because of what they left behind. So it's important what the legacy is important. Leadership is about what you leave for posterity. The amount of wealth you accumulate, you will die and leave it here, but your legacy will remain. Nelson Mandela, people are talking about Nelson Mandela. He's the conscience of humanity. And by the way, I was very privileged when he passed away. I was chosen by the African group to speak on behalf of the whole continent to pay tribute to Nelson Mandela. I think he's a shining example that we have to follow. It's difficult, it demands a lot of sacrifice, but let's not act like happy-go-luckies, thinking of the here and the now, but let's project ourselves into the future and build a bright future for people to live in a dignified manner. See, the continent, it's not now I go beyond even Gambia. Africa is the richest continent in terms of raw materials, but we have the poorest people in the world. That's unacceptable. So it's the responsibility of the leaders to make sure that we reap the benefits of what God has given to us. And we hope that we'll continue to live in a very harmonious manner, in a peaceful way, not only in the Gambia, but the whole sub-region, the whole world. And today, I think the COVID-19 is a wake-up call for all of us.
Yeah.
You see, we've been all clamoring, talking about Vision 2020, everything. But we've come to realize either we are blind or we are short-sighted.
Yeah.
But no one, because no one anticipated this kind of things happening. So it's a wake-up call, and for us to be humble and know that there are things that are more important than the material things that we are running after. And I thank you, and I see you maybe in 3 years for another.
I know, but thank you very much. We do appreciate you talking to us. I do want to thank Sehu for coordinating this. I have been on him for the past 2 years to get this interview, and I'm glad he did promise whenever my boss is speaking, you'll be one of the first people to talk to. And I do appreciate that. Thank you very much, Sehu. We do appreciate
I told Sehu that we go by the principle of where, not World Wide Web, but who you talk to, when you talk, and what you talk about. You decide. You decide. Not others decide.
He always tells me in diplomacy we don't talk a lot. So we talk once in a year or twice, once in 2 years, you know, but I am appreciative of this opportunity to talk to you. And I also want to thank my sister, Tangara, for helping to put this together. We appreciate their coordination, and we thank you very much.
You know, we live in a society of oral traditions, but we are very scared of the word. And that's why Senghor used to say that we have high-spoken monuments surrounded by a wall of silence. I
would love to have you on Mandinka though. I do know that, you know, you have a lot of historical, but that would be an interesting conversation. I'm sure you will not have, I don't have to.
I will do it with a lot of pleasure. You know, Mandinkas have contributed greatly to the history of humanity. You have the Charter of Kurukan-Fuga, which is one of the first constitutions in human history in Mali. And you have even the role of the griot, acting like a spin doctor. You know? And you have very interesting studies. And I'm a member of an organization I used to with Honorable Sidia Jata Mansa, Manding Study Association, and the headquarters is in New York.
In New York.
And that's not politics, but these are facts.
These are facts.
That is owned by the whole of humanity. And I'm happy the team of the next AU meeting would put emphasis on things like that. Because when you talk about human rights, today everybody is giving us lessons about human rights. But we've never colonized anyone, we've never enslaved anyone, and some of the first text dealings with these issues emanated from Africa. You go to Ethiopia, you have what they call the Fita Neges, you have the Kebra Neges. You come to our part of the world, you have the Charter of Kurukan-Fuga with 44 articles. But these are things that we don't know because we know more about others than about ourselves. So that quest for self-knowledge is important for Africans. If we want to own our destiny, it's very important. You look at countries like Republic of Korea, Singapore.
Is that why we are still lacking behind in Africa? Identity issues, knowing our history more. Instead, we are learning more about the...
Well, we pride ourselves of being a Tubab or but when you go and live with the Tubab, you know you are not a Tubab. Realize it. So it's important that we know ourselves, our culture. Technology, everything is important, but culture has to occupy a pride of place in our development process. If we want to leapfrog, we have to believe in ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. This is an interesting conversation. We will definitely push you this angle of having you again on. I think Sheikh will not pull that for another year. This is definitely not politics. So we're going to culture the malady. Dr. Sheikh will push the next year. Culture is no politics.
Well, that will not wait for 3 years.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Tangara. Thank you very much, Sehu. Thank you very much, Safi, and to my technical team and my brother from Point. Thank you very much. Until we come, Omar Charles. Bye-bye. See you another time.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la? Skincare la. 2020 lañ wax de. Waaw. Fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache. Perfect skin. Skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek. Loo lañ soxlaati rek. Maanaam bu dee am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal bel laka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw fii ngeen di ñëw Skincare Plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skincare products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentey tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skincare mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox Skincare Plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yi picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii
love like fire bring my love like fire
Stewart and Co. Solicitors. a legal excellence firm in London that can help you with all aspects of your legal work. If you are looking at immigrating to the United Kingdom, Stewart & Co. can help you to set up business, buy houses in the UK, and will deal with all your legal works from start to finish.
For all your general immigration work, we can help you with that as well. If you apply for any form of visa, whether student visas, settlement visas, marriage visas, or a child wanting to come to the United Kingdom to settle with the family, we can help you to achieve your goals.
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm specializing in conveyancing, immigration, litigation, family law, personal injury, licensing, no win, no fee. Contact us today at www.sk-solicitors.com.
No, ini bara. Alright, okay. Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax. What the madam? Yeah, that's what the madam? Yeah. Let me do something. That's right. Grand Villa. Grand Villa. That's fine. Slowly. Yes. No. Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So it's basically that I can use training. Nina from Nice, what? Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andikam Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungul bebe senyarin adum na bungul bebe nyarandirin coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame. Until Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukawatin telkam. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise. I know. I so much love this place. Thank you. Trust me, I love this place. You can move somebody and you're watching what? Yeah. And you want to Gambia. Grand Villa. I tell you. I love this place. Okay. I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni leftan na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527218. Wale futan na website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Miss V Designer Outlet is the #1 quality and affordable stop shop for all your needs. Get your evening dresses, suit and ties, office wears for both ladies and gentlemen, beach wears, sport wears, pure leather shoes for men, quality belts, bags, heels for all beautiful ladies, original perfumes, accessories, and a lot more. Find us at Kololini Road opposite Gaddafi Mosque at the Aqua Bridge Station, or call us on 295-3411 or 764-2486. Miss B Designer Outlet. Shop right, look good.